Good afternoon or morning, depending on what part of the country you're in. Today is 21st, 2015. Chad, I think this is our 24th Mastermind call. Does that sound right?
Sounds right.
Time flies when you're having fun. I can't believe it's been that long, guys. Somebody's having a little conversation in the background. I don't want to. Thank you, whoever that was. They stopped already. Thank you, guys. We had an incredible week, as I alluded to in the in the invitation. We were fortunate enough to be mentioned in the Wall Street Journal this week, right alongside companies that raised tens of millions of dollars to get started. And trust me, we raised a whole lot less than that. We just had a really good idea, and we had some great people have been there, from the beginning for us. We had a couple really good wins that I know of this week. Is Bruce Barrett Hill? Are you on?
I just jumped on. Sorry, I'm
awesome.
late.
Well, Bruce, I just loved I was just going to read what you posted on the Mastermind site. Would you share it with the group?
Absolutely. Yeah. Basically, today I'm not a very patient person, for one. But Thursday, my letters all hit the leads on Thursday and went through the call dialer on Friday. And of course, 3 minutes later, I'm still waiting on leads to come in, and I know it just doesn't happen like that. But today, I had my first call back, and I know it's going to just build from here. It was so simple. I feel like it just can't be this simple. But this guy calls me and said, "Hey, is this Bruce?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm going to be out at my house that I inherited." And, of course, I'm trying to pull it up on the spot, figure out where it is. He said, "I'm going to be out there on Saturday. Do you offer cash, or are you looking to list it?" And I said, "Normally I look to list, but sometimes I'll come in with a cash offer as well." And he said, "Good. Well, I'll be there all day Saturday. Come on out, bring your listing paperwork, and I'd like to hear how much you're going to offer me. And if that's not good enough, then I'll just sign the listing and we'll get started." And it was literally that easy. I had a seller information sheet in front of me, and I didn't get to hardly any of it because there was no competition. I'm ready to go. Bring your listing paperwork. Let's get started immediately.
Great story. Masterful job of objection handling.
Yeah, right.
Which letter did you send out?
I did a version of. Hold on, let me find it real fast so that I can tell you.
Yeah, while you're doing that, Bruce, Ravi had a great story too. Ravi, would you share that, and then I'll jump back to you, Bruce.
Yep, no problem.
I had shared it last week. It was mine was actually quite easy, as easy as his was. I sent out my first mailing, and I started making calls 4 days later. And about halfway through the list, the gentleman who answered the phone, his first sentence was, "Yes, we got your letter," and she was just about to call you, referring to his wife, who's the executor. And he said, what made my day is he said, "Your letter was like a blessing to us because we didn't know how we were going to handle all of this living 3 hours away from the property. So she would like to speak to you, and, I've done everything through Loop and had the listing agreement signed last night, and I got the key today from her attorney, and we're going to get some repairs done and then do an estate sale, and I think the house is going to sell very quickly." But they were just so relieved that somebody from 3 hours away could coordinate all these things for them.
Great story, Ravi. Thank you. Yeah, I find that to be the prevailing attitude. These people really, they want and they appreciate your help for the most part.
Yep.
Bruce, did you find the letter that you had sent out?
Yeah, it was a version of the options. I changed some of the language up. I wouldn't mind posting it out there, but it was a version of the options letter.
Excellent. Boy, guys, thank you for getting the call off to a really strong start. I know Chad has some really good material to share with you. Let me just follow up with those two stories. One other thing I wanted to share with a lot of you that aren't, don't get a call your first week. I've said in the past that I think we've had a total of 12 people cancel, And until this past week, all 12 of them had told me they just bought the leads and they didn't do anything with them. And then this week we had a couple people cancel because they were kind of like Bruce. They were expecting immediate results. You know, they did their first mailing and their first set of calls, and a couple weeks went by and they didn't have a listing yet, so they decided to cancel. And that, honestly, we don't want you guys to think it's always that easy. I know you guys are pros. You've been in the business a long time. Sometimes you get lucky right away, and sometimes it takes a while. But with the quality of leads you're dealing with, stick at it. Don't give up after a month or two. This is a long-term program, and I've shared with people before too my own experience, and I've heard this from a lot of people. It really does have a cumulative effect. You would be amazed how many people will put these letters away and call you 5, 6 months. I had one a little over a year later. They called me on a $2.5 million listing. So they don't all. Not everybody's going to. Congratulations to the ones that get the quick results, but don't get impatient. Don't give up on yourself or the program before you give it a chance.
Well, I'm about to have a 6-to-1 ROI after week 1, and this is coming from an impatient person. 6-to-1, I'll deal with after week 1. So
good.
But and that's coming from a guy like 3 weeks ago when Bruce and I had our first conversation. He made a commitment, and I didn't ask him for it. He made a commitment that he would try this for 12 months. And he's in, guys, Bruce is in startup phase in a brand new market. You may as well have just dropped him from a plane blindly into a market. So because we spent some time and got strategy in place, and he just went and did it. I mean, I'm glad you got results on the first mailer, but Bruce was looking at this as a 12-month campaign, and I think that's what you have to do. I mean, I listed one Friday that we just now put it on the market this morning. We've already had it showing in the first hour, but we listed it. She was from the death was in September. She got the last letter from me, so October, November, December, she received letters from me. And finally, she just woke up something that morning, said, I'm gonna open that guy's letter. I'm gonna open that letter. She opened the letter. We had the home listed within 24 hours. We just put it out. I expect it's in South Roanoke, Bruce, at 175.
Yeah.
So, at 175, we'll probably sell that house before the end of the day. So there's quite a bit of a cumulative effect to this. So after you market for 2, 3, 4 months, you'll start getting listings off of mail you paid for a long, long time ago.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Did you do your own mailing, or did you use the service for mailing?
No, I did my own mailing for 2 months, and I quit. I pay $1.50 a piece, and Tim does my mail the same as he does all of yours.
Donna, somebody who has a white truck there, they're going to get a ticket.
Help her,
Oh,
Donna,
they're moving.
Oh, that's funny. All right, Chad, I know you, honestly, guys.
No, she's leaving. She's out there, yes.
I'm going to have to block that. Whoever you are, you're yelling into our call. Would you mute us out, please? Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
That's my truck.
That's your truck.
Oops.
Yeah. Go get your truck and come back to the call, please.
Oh, my God, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Chad and I, guys, I alluded to in the email, and Chad wanted to just take a few minutes, and then we'll get to your questions, kind of share our vision for this company. And you saw the email I sent out. We have seen over the years so many churn and burn companies. We don't want to be a company that sells you guys data. We want to be a company that helps you become successful. And Chad, I know you had some thoughts to share with the group along those lines, right?
Yeah, just as we've signed so many new people up in the last few months, and showed up in the Wall Street Journal and been compared to big data and all this. I mean, it's really important to me that everyone really understands what we're doing here, and we're not selling spreadsheets and phone numbers. We're not selling leads. I mean, what we want this to be is a complete system. So something that we've fully vetted out and proved in our own markets. Then we've brought it to you, not only with leads, but with systems and strategy and training that comes with it. ultimately the direction we would like to head is to continue to build the community we have. I love that you guys get on Facebook, help each other, talk to each other, ask questions, like share success stories. That's awesome for me, because that's how I saw it in my head when we first started this. Ultimately, we'd like to scale that to be even bigger and more beneficial for everybody. So have a referral network where we can throw business back and forth, a certification where if you hand a lead from Manhattan over to an agent in San Francisco, you know that they're going to be treated with the same level of service and professionalism that you treat your clients with, your probate clients with. And as we see more competition in this space, and mark my words, you will see people, investors have been doing this for 20 years, and no one has ever really taught realtors to approach people with a helping hand, and that's what we're doing. You will see competition in this space, and you will see other people with other programs, and we're 100% committed to being in front of all that and not threatened by it at all, because I know that we'll provide more value than anyone else out there. And as we develop other lead sources like divorce and different things, those are being beta tested right now. We'll be bringing those to you guys. It's going to be the same way. It's going to be more than just a spreadsheet full of divorce names and attorneys' names. It's going to be a full system. So for those of you that sign up and don't know where to start, I mean, we give you all the tools. If you don't feel like you have something, like you need help, raise your hand. I mean, we're here to coach and train. We do have paid coaching programs. You don't need them. We give everything for free, but if you decide you want one-on-one help, we're happy to spend that time with you. But just thanks for everybody that shows up. I mean, we love having these calls, and we love hearing success stories more than anything. And if there's anything we can ever do, just please let us know.
Well said. Along those lines, who has a great question for us this week? Something that the group can help you with.
I have a question about the auto phone messages. How does that work? I mean, does it call only? What happens if somebody picks up the phone, or is it something that just goes automatically and the phone does not ring?
I can answer that. Go ahead, Chad. I was going to explain the difference between. There's two different services on the back end of our website. There's Fly Broadcast, which I use when I'm prospecting realtors. That bypasses voicemail, and it goes directly to leaving them a message. The one that I prefer to use, and Chad has a more difficult one, he has a version of Call Loop. Chad has a different one that he uses, but the advantage of Call Loop is a lot of these executors, when I'm dealing with a realtor, I know they have a cell phone, I know they have a voicemail, so I use Fly Broadcast. If I'm dealing with executors, some of these people, your message is probably going to go to their home answering machine. I mean, that they bought in 1992. So the advantage of Call Loop is you can choose to just leave them a message or a live answer. I check both. So if they answer the phone, it plays them a brief message. Every time I do it, I have 20 people call me back and say, hey, I was on the line. You didn't hear. They don't realize it's a message. So, for the most part, couldn't you hear me? There must be something wrong with my cell phone. So the way I use Call Loop, if they pick up the phone, it plays them my brief message. If they don't pick up the phone, the message goes to whatever system they use to receive their voicemails. I prefer that because you get 100% coverage that way. And what and I've talked to many of you about this, for your caller ID, Chad has a more sophisticated, I think he's got a Google voicemail box. I do it real simple. I just put my cell phone, and when I do my voice cast, I just let the phone ring. I let everybody leave their voice messages, and then I listen to them and I prioritize them. But so, you have to be ready when you do it. You're going to have a lot of people who picked up the phone call you right back. And so you have to have something set up that they go somewhere where you can listen to their message. And then, Chad, you have a little more complicated system that does the same thing as Call Loop, correct?
Yeah, it's not really more complicated. It just has a different ordering system. I use voice casting, which is a product or a service from Voice Logic. And the difference is they will deliver a ringless voicemail. So rather than playing a recording, it will bypass the ring, and it'll show up as a missed call and voicemail. So the benefit to that is they don't know that you wrote, that you did an automated dial. It seems like you sat down and left messages one by one. And it's a generic message. If you haven't heard the script, it's in the campaign outline in writing. There's a couple of scripts some that have been successful and some that failed. But with that, you will buy credits, and they send you like a PDF invoice, kind of an antiquated way, but again, you have to reference that invoice number when you upload your list and upload your message. Other than that, it's pretty much the same.
All of these services, guys, it's 5 cents a piece. So you can send out 100 voicemails for $5. And we're not encouraging you guys to be lazy. If you have 20, 30, 40 leads, I would say get on the phone and call them all. But if you're like some of our clients, like Sandra in Houston, Texas, that has 600 leads a month, if you're not going to personally call them all, use VoiceCast. If you have the time to personally call them all, that's always going to be better than a voice message.
Jim, does VoiceCast work on landlines and cell phones? So if they have an answering machine, it will go right to the answering machine?
Well, most people have server-based voicemail on their landlines now.
Right.
If it's an old answering machine, then no, it won't go. What I've found, I get about 80% deliverability using VoiceCast.
That's landlines and cells?
Yes.
Okay.
Good question, guys. Who has another good question to share with us? Somewhere you're getting stuck, something we can help you with? We got about 50 of us on the call. Good turnout today. Anybody?
What do you say to people the first call that you make?
Now you're talking about live or a message?
Live.
Chad, I'll defer to you.
I usually try to place my phone calls behind the letter. So, hi, this is Chad Corbett. I sent you a letter last week. Just wanted to follow up and make sure you received that and you understood why we sent it. I don't do live calling because I'm one of those people that just don't have the time. So I do a ringless voicemail. So I usually don't, from there I say, give us a call if you want to discuss the options for the real estate. If there's real estate you're looking to sell. And then, probably get, I don't know, when we do one of those, we probably get a 10% callback, but they're relevant callbacks only. So the 90% that aren't selling or don't want help or listed with Mary Lou, the neighbor, whatever, you don't get called, I don't spend time calling those people. So in my office, I've designed it, and for those of you that were on the call a couple weeks ago with a lady from New York, it's the way I do my campaign. It doesn't matter if I have 2 leads or 2,000 leads. It takes me the same amount of time. So I order the letters once, I schedule the phone calls once, and I use the same message over and over. I just make sure it only goes to the ones that are rated new in my database. So if you haven't raised your hand, you're going to get the same message from me 3 times following the same letter that I sent the first 2 times. And that's how we do it. And the result is what Bruce talked about at the beginning of this call. It's just they're almost straight come list me calls. I'm so glad you called. This is a godsend. The timing couldn't be more perfect. I hear that on all these listings. You hear that over and over because they've finally gotten to their breaking point and they're just stressed out and they just need someone to take the wheel. So we're just consistent with the message and consistent with the mail.
And guys, I always share with people, if that sounds too good to be true, I mean, you think about who you're contacting. You're typically contacting the oldest child. You're contacting the family member that was put in charge, and he typically will have a number of siblings or relatives to answer to. So the guy you're contacting has to do all the work, and he's just getting an equal share of the proceeds. He's more than willing and looking for help. He really is. He's looking to get this off his plate for the most part. So it's kind of logical that they would be appreciative and thankful and cooperative.
I love Bruce's story because when we did his jumpstart session in session 3 where we role play, he was tough on me, man, and he's like, it can't be that easy.
Jim, is Vanessa here? Can I have a question?
Please, go ahead, Vanessa. Sure.
If we get a live one and they're interested in a quick sale and they just want to work with an investor, how do we handle that? How do we get paid?
You represent the investor or represent both sides. What I do in my office is I list the property, leave the investor unrepresented, and take 6%.
Okay.
Because investors are savvy enough, and they're going to, if they're getting the right price, they don't need a buyer's agent.
Okay, so we do list regardless. It's not done without listing.
I wouldn't.
I mean, there's many ways to put a deal together, but you can get 6% just by listing it and leaving your buyer unrepresented.
Okay, that was just the one thing I was missing. It was like, what do you do if they say they want a quick buyout for cash? They don't really want to list it on the MLS.
Yeah, so what I would do is just a typical listing with an MLS opt-out, and then I would write the purchase agreement with with an unrepresented party addendum. And
okay.
You're covered.
Thank you.
Good question.
Mm-hmm. So
Mike
Scott here. I'm relatively new. I'm just finishing up calling through my second month. Have there been any metrics done when it's obviously like the spouse is the executor and still in the house? Has anybody done any metrics on whether, they're better or worse as a group to follow up with?
Too many variables to really get accurate metrics. I mean, there's 1,014 life situations that would change that. So I tell people continue to prospect, because I've had situations where the spouse says, I'll never sell, I'm going to die here. And I just say, well, thanks for your call. We'll take you off our list. And we don't take them off the list. We leave them in the database under future or, lost. I have had, at least twice, I've had the kids call and say, listen, Mom had this letter on the side of her refrigerator because it's in a unique envelope. And, she just went into a nursing home. We've got to get this sold so Medicaid will pick up the bill. Can you please help us? So, I mean, if it's to a point where they say stop contacting me, then stop contacting them. But if they're just not ready to sell, keep them in the database and maybe touch them every once in a while and just see if there's any way you can help. Because depending on what stage of life they're in, if they're in their 80s or 90s, life can change in a day. I mean, in any of us, it can change in a day. So you never know who you might have an opportunity to help. So I would, don't shy away from them is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
And Mike, those, for the most part, those are going to, I don't know if you've run into that a lot, but in my experience, those are fairly rare.
They're about half of Atlanta.
Isn't that interesting? So it must just be a regional issue or a regional situation. Or, okay, interesting. Well, that's good to know.
Well,
who else has a question?
Natasha Kennedy is here.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about, I'm new to this program as well, and I have a question about marketing to attorneys.
Okay.
What do you do? What kind of letters? To market to people who inherited the property, you have the letters posted on Facebook and documents, but if anybody who gets in touch with attorneys could share their letters or their techniques would be great.
There are also 2 attorney letters in Facebook in the same place. It should be the top 2 files under files.
Oh, I didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah. And the only difference is one has a domain name and one doesn't. So if you don't have a website, there's one version, and if you do, there's another.
And for you guys that are brand new, understand, I would not contact the attorney first. The goal is to get the property listed.
All right, but I'll
contact the executor first.
I'll call you back.
Get it listed. And then if you've got 100 probate leads and you go down the column there, you're probably going to see a half a dozen attorneys that are doing a lion's share of them. So those are the attorneys that you want to contact after you get the property listed or after you've spoken to Mr. Johnson. Is a good time to call the attorney and say, I just listed Mr. Johnson's property. He says that, you're a great probate attorney, and I can tell you do a lot of them. Do you have an agent that you regularly refer business to? So build the relationship on top of the listing. I've had a few agents think they need to call the attorney to get permission to list it, and nothing could be further from the truth. You don't need that at all. All you need is the executor's permission to get it listed. Chad, we've had two agents that have done extremely well. We had a guy in Florida, and I think Sandra Marconi has done well with prospecting attorneys, correct?
Yeah, Sandra's using a really polished. She did something really clever. She took the KW logo and made like a KW probate specialist logo out of it. So it's like the KW and the rectangle probate specialist. And she made some letterhead and then put that in a pre-listing package. And she would identify like the top 20 or so attorneys in her market and make sure that they receive that really nice professional piece. And it's really, attorney marketing is one of those things that like you're not going to get results immediately. I think the biggest benefit is you're going to be branding yourself as a probate-specific realtor to those attorneys. So when the opportunity comes up and they're on the phone with an executor who says, hey, I got this letter from this Jim Sullivan guy about, listing my house, says he's a probate specialist. That gives the attorney an opportunity to say, oh yeah, that guy, he does a lot of probate stuff, and you kind of get that endorsement. So it's not like if you send attorney mail, you're going to get, they're all going to call you back and go, well, let me send you all my referrals. But I think that over time, it's going to brand you and burn that into their mind that, hey, I'm not going to refer this to my usual agent because this person's already talked to this agent, and I know he does probate. And I think you'll build that relationship and build that business over time. But it doesn't hurt. I agree with Jim. It's not the first thing you should do. But once you've kind of gotten a feel for this and you're having good success with the executors, I think that it's smart to send those letters to the attorneys.
If our list does not have the attorneys on it currently, how do we get that?
I've never gotten it. I'm in Virginia, so we don't get attorney information here.
Okay.
What state are you in?
Georgia.
I'm not sure about Georgia. Here we're a Commonwealth, so attorneys it's just not standard for attorneys to be involved in probate here. Most everywhere else in the country gets it.
Yeah, it's a matter of whether if it's listed in the court files, you'll get it. But there are a handful of states that don't list the attorney info in the court file. So if it's in the file, we'll get it to you. If it isn't there, there's probably not a real good or easy way to get it. Got time for maybe one or two more questions. Who has a burning question? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm calling. It's Donna from New York. I was just calling because I wanted to find out about the website that you have. I use my own website on my letters, but I was wondering, should it be more like a probate specialist website? Because I don't have that domain yet. In order to capture them, so when they go to look at it, sorry.
So the websites we have are very, very, they're loaded with probate-specific information. It's a WordPress site, so you can customize it as much as you would like if you know how to work in WordPress. And I think, don't hold me to it, it might be, I think it's $35 startup and $35 a month for your domain and hosting and site. What was your name?
Donna.
And your last name?
Paul.
Donna Paul. Okay. Donna, we'll have Mark give you a call to kind of walk you through the demo and show you the site.
Okay.
And then Chad, you've mentioned before you just use a really strong probate specific landing page to take them to. I took 10 minutes and built out a specific page on my WordPress site, and then I just bought a domain and redirected. And you can look at mine, Donna. It's sellandestatehome.com.
Great.
And every time Chad gives that out, he says, "Please don't cut and paste it," because it'll.
Yeah, I mean, do yourself a favor. You can feel free to use my site for inspiration, but if you copy and paste that, Google will penalize your whole website.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, can
Great.
I ask a question? I have a question.
Please.
Yes, my name is Valerie Lee. I have a question about your direct mailer. Who do you use, and how does it work?
We use a company out of Orlando, Florida. It's called iNet USA. And Chad, you want to, you can kind of explain the mechanics of how it works, if you would.
You spend 30 seconds filling out a web form, and you sit back and answer the phone.
There's a link to it on the back end of our website.
If you go to alltheleads.com, in the main menu, you'll see subscriber benefits. And there's a mailbox motivator order form, I think it's called. You'll upload your letter template, upload your spreadsheet, and then if you want to add any additional instructions, you can order as many letters as you want with whatever spacing you want, and it just gets done for you. So the way I do it is I specify the dates I want the mail dropped, and then I put them in my Google Calendar. So Google Calendar pops up and says, "Hey, you've got mail dropping today." So I know I have about 3 business days, and then I also put in my calendar the day that I should be making the calls or leaving the voicemails, which is the day after the letter hits. So what I do is I pay for 3 letters all at once and just forget about it.
Okay.
Excellent. One more question, guys. I think we're going to keep this call right about 35 minutes. Anybody have one more pressing question? No? All right, good. We got it done in record time and some great success stories, great participation, great questions. Chad, any closing comments you want to share with the group?
Just thanks for showing up, guys. Thanks for participating and helping everybody else.
All right, make it a great week. Come next Thursday with some success stories to share with the group, guys. You know where to find us in the meantime. Have a great week. Thanks for showing up.
Thanks, you too.
Take care.